I'm that girl who wants to talk to you today about mindsets and how our mind can be really a powerful tool to be able to look forward to future positive experiences and events, and to be able to just check with ourselves, what are we holding back from? And so it seems like they want us to be reminded of big things in our past that we were really apprehensive of for whatever reason. So they want to give me the example of a big exam and we were practicing for it and we were really apprehensive about it and worried. That's the sort of thing that they're wanting us to think about in terms of how did we overcome it? Did we just freak out and then it just came that day and then we overcame it because we just had to, and then we haven't really reflected back on it because it already is in the past? I mean, let's think about some of the big things. I know when I was having my pregnancies, you'd always focus on that one date and sort of over obsess about how that one day could go. And I think that they're prompting me to think about that for myself personally, because today is our son's third birthday. And so if you have heard about our experience and story there, he was a home birth, and I delivered him in a birthing pool. Our midwife wasn't even here because it was in the middle of the night. And I remembered knowing that I was so stressed about the twins' pregnancy and birth that it kind of really distracted me from just keeping calm and balancing myself. So when it came to Grayson's birth, I had already thought about how I was going to just focus on a really calm experience where I just trusted that I would have all this support. I had done an interview with Julia Childs, the famous chef, TV celebrity chef. And when I was asking her what she was doing in the afterlife, she was saying that she was assisting in the spirit realm with births, and she was sort of like a midwife for those souls coming in and being merged into the physical. So knowing that, I applied the information and trusted. I don't think I really wanted her as such in my birthing experience, but I just knew that there were others that would be there supporting. And while it may have felt like just me and my partner delivering this baby together, I knew that there was much more happening in the room than we could physically see. So I just projected that calmness and that trust in that event that all was going to be well. And I did not entertain any other problems. When our friends knew that I wanted to have a home birth, they were, wanting to share with me all of their fears, all of their worries, all of their traumas and scary experiences, just to make sure that I had fully not lost my mind and I had considered everything. And so I just trusted my body was going to know what to do, and that if I just kept calm throughout the process and trusting this is a very natural experience, all would be well. And of course it was. It was a painless birth. It was super fast and easy, and it was a joy. And I actually cried afterwards because it was just such a profound experience, and it wasn't violating as opposed to my experience with giving birth to the twins. And so it really healed me from the traumas that I had experienced in other births, and it was a really empowering moment. And I really cried for all of these other women who are coerced into going to hospitals and giving birth that way and being peer pressured into how their bodies should perform. And it was such a beautiful moment. I was super empathetic to everyone who'd had birth trauma. And remember, I'd spent maybe 5 years working as an administration clerk for the big hospital here in the women's centre, surrounded with people constantly giving birth. And so I did know the approaches and sometimes the unprofessional attitudes that midwives would have for women and for their partners and effectively for their children. So it was very interesting. Anyway, so they wanted me to reflect personally on how It was my mindset that helped me be focused into having a positive outcome. And sometimes when we're so afraid of something and we deny it and panic and worry, it does eventuate into our reality, because we have to face it, we have to overcome it. And because we're quite intuitive, we get a sense of some things that may be not so fantastic and pleasant and scary, and we get a feeling that this is going to be in our future. And so instead of ignoring it or over worrying about it, we find our balance, we find our acceptance, and we trust that when this scary thing happens, we will have the right actions, the right words, all of this stuff, we're protected. And we have to step out of that fear mindset and to embrace the experiences and lessons. And the luxury of being able to prepare your mindsets for that event prior is very profound, because if you already find neutral and balance and acceptance, you may actually shortcut your actual physical experience of having to go through it. And so it seems like if your lesson is to overcome tragedy, but in your mindset you've already overcome tragedy, therefore the lesson is already accomplished. So this is what it seems like for those people who I do sessions with, when they're asking about the shift and what is happening. And the first few times they do sessions, they're told, yes, they'll go with their whole family, they won't experience the old earth, and they will move in the first sort of a big wave of a shifting, whatever that looks like for them. And the more that they do healing and the more that they accept things, it's more like their teams are then saying, well, they can have more experiences because they've got so much release of other lifetime traumas and this lifetime traumas to be able to be of service more. And so once you process and be open to all possibilities regarding this shift and what that looks like, you are then overcoming those experiences. And so then I'm trying to formulate this, so I'm hoping that I'm making sense. So definitely face our fears and be able to use our mindsets to be able to explore it while we're in that when we're not actually experiencing it physically, because it seems like this is the whole purpose of lots of bigger events coming, for many people to have to physically experience it, because they're totally on the mainstream narrative of just going with the agenda. And so it's not snapping them out of it, and they're having to experience something big to be able to overcome that. And so there is so much that they're trying to say, and they want to share so much of the perspective of what's going on and why. And so these small bite-sized videos are supposed to help bridge those gaps of curiosity that people are still trying to figure out and piece together. So my recommendations is, if we're afraid of anything in the future, we must address it in the safety and calmness of our homes and think, okay, so what would that look like? How would I respond to it? And some of these things could be really scary. Like, what if it's a child that shifts before me? How will I be able to manage and cope with that? Yes, very scary when you don't remember or don't want to factor into that what happens in the afterlife and where we really go. And so does it help anyone to think about, if someone shifts that we know beforehand, if they exit this life before us, and we know that they go on board that ship and then they have the veil of forgetfulness removed from them and they remember who they are and what their life contracts were, and they're reconnected with their soul family and friends up on that ship, does that diffuse the mindset of worry, despair, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to them, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me, dialogue that we have when we think about someone exiting? So have we also unpacked what we were thinking when we have experienced death in our current life that we know, Have we overcome, say, our grandparents or our parents or our friends or whomever we have experienced them departing this lifetime? Have we gone back to be able to apply the information that we know for them? Because sometimes the grief process is a very tricky one. And it's so easy to hear these sessions and understand it from an intellectual level, but to apply it to our actual emotional responses and reactions is the next level. So this is about applying the information and merging it into our mindsets. So they're just wanting us to have a little memory jog of anything that we were apprehensive about and how did that feel, and then empower us to know that we can not obsess about all of the worries and be in fear of the future. It's more like, if there is something that we are afraid of or we're worried about, just quickly go in, figure out, unpack that. What are we afraid of? Explore it emotionally, explore the aspects of it, and come to the conclusion of what is our triggers here. Because this could be a very enjoyable mindset tool to have, to be able to see what we're still sticking with. Anyway, I hope this all made sense and that it was explained in a way that we could all be empowered to know that we've overcome so much, and now, because we have empowered ourselves and we know the bigger perspective from a metaphysical perspective, shouldn't us moving forward be quite easy with grace and joy? And it actually should be able to remove any fears that we're having, any worries we're having. So definitely recommend everyone to just check in, be honest with ourselves, what are our worries and concerns for the future, and just give it a bit of attention and see if you can overcome it. Just maybe if you're thinking, I can't do the big ones right now, it's too much, maybe just think of a few small ones. And I know a lot of people, when they hear about this shift, get really suddenly very attached to their possessions and become very attached to their bodies. And so is this now we just need to appreciate our bodies and our possessions as while we have them a little bit more, or how are we supposed to manage that and have that balance and neutral? So I'm sending you so much love. I hope you all have a fantastic, wonderful day, empowering yourself. Just check in that mindset to see if it is serving you, and if there is anything that is sticking, and it's quite normal because we're all very human still. Face that fear, just check in, see what's going on, and then see how easy it is to empower yourself through that with just feeling into it. I don't even know if feeling into it is the right thing, because we're going to then trigger our emotions. It's about using our mindset of the information we have, using those tool belts to be able to see if the information we have heard from sessions can then be the key to us having a more balanced mindset. Anyway, I love you guys. I hope you're having a fantastic weekend.